Today, we're embarking on really a remarkable journey. Self-discovery, resilience, impact. We're digging into Michelle Obama's memoir, Becoming, pulling out the core wisdom.
Yeah, it's so much more than just a life story, isn't it? It's really a compelling look at how identity, how purpose kind of evolve over a whole lifetime, and how things like family, community, challenges, and those completely unexpected turns shape us.
Right. So our mission today, unpack the key nuggets from her story. We'll trace her path, south side of Chicago, all the way to the White House, highlighting those moments, those people that really helped her become. Expect some surprising facts and definitely some aha moments.
Absolutely. We'll look at how her early dreams shifted, how big personal losses maybe sparked new directions, and importantly, how public life forced this constant, sometimes really tough, reevaluation of who she was. It's not just about her. It's about that universal thing of becoming.
It's pretty amazing thinking about her childhood dreams. So simple, right? A dog, house with stairs, a station wagon,
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to be a pediatrician, which, as she admits, was kind of the pleasing answer for adults.
Mm-hmm.
And then you contrast that with the White House reality. More stairs than I can count, elevators, bowling alley, florists. What jumps out at you most there?
Well, that contrast is fantastic, isn't it? But what's really key, I think, is that underlying drive. Even as a kid, she says she was ambitious, though I didn't know exactly what I was shooting for. So it wasn't about this specific dream changing necessarily.
Huh? Yeah.
It was about that core ambition, that engine inside her. That seems to be the thread. It suggests, that nurturing that drive, maybe more than clinging to one specific goal, is what lets us adapt.
So the internal compass, not the fixed map.
Got it.
And that compass was definitely set early on, south side of Chicago. Grew up in that rented second-floor apartment, brick bungalow,
Mm-hmm.
her Aunt Robbie and Uncle Terry's place. The book paints such vivid pictures of the people there. Tell us about some of them.
Oh, they were crucial. You've got Aunt Robbie, the piano teacher, super strict, serious. House like a mausoleum, Michelle says, but demanded excellence from every kid. Real rigor there.
All right.
Then there's her grandfather, Dandy, cigar-puffing, complex guy from the low country, grandson of slaves. Could be abrasive, she says, but also had this quiet tenderness.
Interesting mix.
And Uncle Southside, his love for music was infectious. Jazz, Aretha, Miles, Billy. He even bought her very first album, Stevie Wonder's Talking Book.
Wow, what a mix of influences. How do these really different people kind of shape her resilience or curiosity?
I think it's exactly that blend. It's significant. Aunt Robbie gives her structure, that drive for excellence. Dandy represents this complex heritage, maybe some stubbornness too. And Southside, just pure exploration, culture, joy.
Structure and freedom.
Exactly. And her parents, Fraser and Marian, had this unique Zen neutrality. Their philosophy was not raising babies, raising adults. So the guidelines, not rigid rules. Like with curfews, they'd ask her, what's a reasonable time for you to be home?
That's fascinating, building self-reliance.
Definitely. And her dad, Fraser, was innately cautious, especially about money, always saying you never want to end up house poor. Savings first. So this mix of pragmatism and open-ended parenting really let her develop her own strength within a safety net. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How those early experiences, those people, they're the unseen architects of who we are.
Totally. Those lessons stick.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift to her early school days, that kindergarten story. The color card challenge, the word white. Feeling that shame, then demanding a do-over for that gold star, that determination.
Mm-hmm. Her listen?
And it pops up again with that tough third-grade teacher. The grim, underlit room, feeling miserable, learning nothing. Until her mom stepped in with that weeks-long process of behind-the-scenes lobbying.
Right. And that got Michelle and other high-performing kids moved upstairs to a better class.
So what does that tell us?
Well, it's incredibly revealing, I think. You see her own fight, but also the power of having an advocate like her mom. It shapes this belief that, you have a right to achieve, to push back if you feel devalued. And it shows this early, almost gut-level awareness of unfairness. Even if she couldn't name it then, she knew when kids were being devalued.
That sense of fairness seems core to her. And her older brother, Craig, he was a huge figure too, wasn't he? Her portrait of brotherly vigilance and responsibility, that image of his hand protectively around her wrist.
Yeah, very sweet. And his basketball talent took him into parts of the neighborhood she saw as sketchy. But he came back saying, most people were good people if you just treated them well. Kind of busting myths for her.
So he broadened her world.
Absolutely. His ease, his ability to navigate different scenes, it contrasted with her own natural resistance to chaos.
Yeah.
But it subtly influenced her, too. She started following him around, becoming more outward and social. He kind of expanded her comfort zone, showed her the world was maybe bigger, more complex than she thought.
Interesting how siblings do that.
Hmm.
Okay, fast forward to adolescence. Whitney Young Magnet High School. This sounds like a big deal. Meeting kids from the north side, the dark side of the moon, she called it.
Yeah.
Getting exposed to internships, historically black colleges, and crucially, a place where it was safe to be smart. No hiding your intelligence.
Yes. That validation was absolutely critical. It gave her the space where her intellect was celebrated, not something to downplay. It built her confidence, but it also, maybe paradoxically, set her up for the shock of Princeton.
How so?
Because Princeton was just a totally different world. She felt like an outsider. Suddenly, lacrosse was a thing, field hockey was a thing, squash even was a thing. It really highlights this huge cultural class differences she ran into. Felt dizzying, she says.
Yeah, you can imagine even academic success doesn't shield you from feeling out of place.
Yeah.
And wasn't there that moment before Princeton with the college counselor?
Oh, right. The counselor with the perfunctory, patronizing smile, telling her basically, I'm not sure you're Princeton material. Big ouch. But Michelle refused to accept it. She'd been taught she was something more. She wouldn't let that comment dislodge everything I thought I knew about myself.
That defiance is powerful.
It really is. It speaks volumes about, external invalidation versus internal resilience, her drive to prove people wrong, to represent her community, her race. It became this core motivator. It wasn't just getting in, it was asserting her worth against a system trying to diminish her. Need that internal belief, right?
Definitely. So at Princeton, she finds a mentor, Journey Braswell at the Third World Center.
Yes, a really significant figure. Journey treated me like an adult, Michelle writes. Asked her big questions about Princeton's investments in South Africa, recruiting minority students, challenged her thinking, and even took her on her first trip to New York City, which felt teeming, awe-inspiring, like an unspooling of tension.
So Journey expanded her horizons.
Massively. Moved her beyond just that effort result mindset she'd had, encouraged more critical, socially aware thinking, showed her an independent woman with a job that thrilled her. It planted the seed, I think, that success wasn't just personal achievement, but maybe making a broader impact, a theme for later, clearly.
Makes sense. So after Princeton, Harvard Law, then success at Sidley and Austin, big law firm, on track for partner, bought the Saab, the wine subscription, checking all the boxes.
All the external markers, yeah.
But inside, she felt constricted, tucked and folded every loose and disorderly bit of it, as if building some tight and airless piece of origami.
Yeah.
Restless, uncertain about this path she'd worked so hard for.
And that feeling is so common, isn't it? Especially for high achievers. That airless piece of origami image, oh, wow. It perfectly captures that feeling of a life built meticulously, but maybe lacking soul, resonance, a new ache, she calls it, a seed of longing. It's that classic conflict, external success versus internal fulfillment.
And it really pushes you to ask, how do you know when to push through versus when to question the whole darn path?
Tough question. No easy answer.
Well, things shift.
Yeah.
Enter Barack Obama. Her first impression, skeptical, thought he might be overhyped, put a suit on any half-intelligent black man, and white people tended to go bonkers.
Yeah, pretty candid.
But there was also this easy banter at the law firm, this connection, even though she initially said, I don't date, and I'm your advisor.
Yeah.
Very clear boundaries.
Right. But his persistence, that deadly combination of smooth and reasonable, she calls it, and that smile, stretched the whole width of his face. It won her over.
What was so compelling about him, do you think? Beyond the charm.
I think it was how different he was. His background, Hawaii, community organizing, embracing his full name, Barack Hussein Obama, his complex identity. It challenged her more carefully built world. He was like a wind that threatened to unsettle everything, she writes. But that unsettling quality also opened up possibilities.
Interesting, a catalyst.
Exactly. And speaking of catalysts, that turning point with her friend Suzanne Aleo. Suzanne gets cancer, passes away. But she lived so joyfully, took pottery, dance classes, just because they made her happy.
Right. And that made Michelle realize, I wanted more joy and meaning in my life.
Huge moment, especially contrasted with her mom's very practical advice about her job dissatisfaction. Make the money first and worry about your happiness later.
Two very different perspectives on life.
And Suzanne's death really highlights that transformative power of loss, doesn't it? It forces that reevaluation. What really matters, is it just the achievement or is it something deeper? It shifted her quest inward.
And there was more loss. Her father's decline from MSCA.
Yeah, that was incredibly hard. His avoiding doctors, their family intervention, his eventual death left them all feeling bricked inside our private grief.
She describes that moment arguing with Craig over the casket. Absurd and inappropriate. But then later, cathartic laughter with her mom and brother around that fourth empty chair at the table.
It's such a real human moment. Shows the complex ways families cope, right? And it connects back to her dad's stubborn belief in defying helplessness, a trait she definitely inherited. That laughter wasn't disrespectful. It was remembering him, honoring his spirit in their own way, finding solace together.
Connection even in grief. Okay, back to Barack. Marriage wasn't his initial plan.
Apparently not. He saw it as an unnecessary and overhyped convention, which Michelle says was like pushing a big, blinking red button inside her.
I can imagine.
They debated it with hot gusto at dinner, right before he proposed. She wasn't even sure he heard her arguments.
Classic. Lawyers arguing their way into marriage.
Pretty much. It shows that blend of traditional and unconventional in their relationship early on, and how they could debate these huge personal things, maybe because they were lawyers used to arguing points. It reveals how each of us is built, she says.
They figured out how to navigate differences? What about that trip to Kenya? Sounds intense.
Oh yeah, huge culture shock in the Kibera slum poverty, unlike anything she'd seen, and a major marital conflict moment. She writes in her journal, "I'm so angry at Barack, I don't think we have anything in common."
Wow. Tough moment.
Really tough. But it was also where she met his grandmother, Granny Sarah, wise eyes and a crinkling smile. The whole trip, the good and the bad, flung her out of my world, as she puts it. It deepened their understanding, revealed their passions and voice to each other, a real trial by fire for them.
Travel does that sometimes.
Okay.
Let's talk about motherhood. She's very open about infertility.
Incredibly open. Describes miscarriage as lonely, painful, and demoralizing. Feeling that bruising wallop of inadequacy, it's so important she shared that. Normalizes a struggle so many face silently.
And they eventually had Malia and Sasha through IVF.
Yes, leading to a fantastically simple pregnancy, with Malia and Sasha later becoming the fourth corner to our square. You feel the joy after the struggle, that secret inside me, bright with the promise. It's very moving.
But balancing career and motherhood wasn't easy. Halftime at University of Chicago felt sanity warping.
That phrase, sanity warping double bind, feeling like she was only half doing everything, guilt at work, guilt at home. It's such a raw, relatable struggle for so many ambitious women, especially mothers. It reshaped her idea of achievement. Finding balance isn't a destination, it's an ongoing negotiation, isn't it? Part of that becoming. And you have to wonder, for anyone listening, how have those unforeseen turns, love, loss, family changes shaped your growth?
Definitely food for thought. Okay, politics enters the picture. Barack runs for Illinois Senate. Michelle's initial reaction.
Skeptical, that wifely caution. She told him, "I think you'll be frustrated. Nothing will get accomplished." Very pragmatic.
And right away, they faced attacks on his identity, right? Not black enough, too Eastern elite.
Yeah, the authenticity attack started early, seen as a threat to their power. It really highlights that tension in their partnership. Her pragmatic realism about politics being a mess versus his simple, buoying faith, his drive to do some good.
That contrast again.
Exactly. Her caution wasn't lack of support. It was just seeing the obstacles clearly, coexisting with his sense of purpose.
There's that moment when Malia got sick in Hawaii.
Oh, right. The ear infection. And Barack had a crucial crime bill vote back in Illinois. But he chose to stay. Decided he wouldn't martyr myself by even suggesting leaving. Family first.
That says a lot. Setting priorities early.
Huge. It established that principle. We didn't wait for Dad. Non-negotiable boundaries, even with massive political pressure.
Okay, jump to 2008 election night. Everything changes.
Instantly. The financial crisis looming, that ocean of people in Grant Park, the bulletproof glass on stage, suddenly realizing everything was new, including that massive presidential motorcade, 20 vehicles long, total shift.
And the loss of privacy must have been immense.
Profound. Becoming one of the most heavily guarded human beings on Earth. Simple things like driving become impossible disruptions. It's complete reordering of your reality. Distressing, she calls it.
And trying to maintain normalcy for the kids. Security sweeps for birthday parties.
Right. Malia learning to drive with Secret Service trailing her. Even the turkey pardoning became ridiculous to the teenage girls. Trying to keep life grounded in that bubble was a constant effort.
Amidst all that, Michelle starts carving out her own role, the White House kitchen garden.
Yes. And initially, the National Park Service thought she and Sam Cass were insane. Resistance.
But it wasn't just about planting vegetables, was it?
Not at all. It seemed elemental and apolitical, but it was her way to root myself in the new job. And it had a deeper purpose. Starting conversations about nutrition, subtly challenging those behemoth corporations.
So using a seemingly simple initiative for bigger goals.
Exactly. It led directly to Let's Move, aiming to end childhood obesity. It was her way of showing her full self, not being tucked and folded like in her old law job, finding an authentic way to make impact.
And her work with military families.
That sounds deeply impactful, too. Visiting Walter Reed, Fisher houses, it put her own sacrifices into perspective, learning how little about military life she actually knew, seeing the spouses who'd put their lives on hold. Those personal encounters led directly to joining forces with Joe Biden, shows how listening fuels action.
But public life also meant intense scrutiny, the criticism.
Oh, constant. Wearing shorts at the Grand Canyon, headlines, her sleeveless dress for an official photo, more headlines, rumors about her being a princess, having militant anger. It was relentless. She even had a campaign intervention to review her body language on video.
Wow. That highlights the unique pressure on a first lady, especially a black woman, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Defining yourself amidst nonstop judgment, stereotypes, requires incredible resilience. Her point that it's harder to hate up close really resonates. She had to find her voice despite it all.
And she certainly found it, like with her response to the Access Hollywood tape in 2016.
Powerful moment, declaring this is not normal, this is disgraceful, it is intolerable. Speaking from deep personal conviction, putting her whole heart into it, sometimes you just have to speak truth to power beyond politics.
Looking back at her White House years, what are some lasting lessons she shares?
Well, there's her visit to Harper High on the South Side, telling those kids hard truths. No one's going to save you anytime soon, or Washington isn't really trying. But also telling them their work matters, empowering them. Such a contrast to her own high school counselor.
Right, offering tough love and hope.
Exactly. And then meeting Nelson Mandela, seeing his genuine interest, witnessing Lin-Manuel Miranda perform Hamilton at the White House, seeing history recast. It shows her own continuous learning, her understanding of impact, how support works, that constellation idea again. And it really makes you think about public life. How do you hold onto your values, your voice, under that kind of pressure?
It's quite a journey we've traced. Childhood dreams, tough choices, love, loss, the sheer intensity of the White House. Her story in becoming is just a powerful testament to continuous growth, isn't it?
It really is, and her definition of becoming sums it up perfectly. It's not about arriving, right? It's forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach continuously toward a better self. The journey doesn't end. It's constant.
Always evolving. And shaped by that constellation of people, Aunt Robbie Cherney, Valerie Jarrett. Now she tries to pay it forward through mentorship, becoming part of other people's constellations.
Which brings us to a great final thought for everyone listening. As you reflect on your own becoming, what influences are shaping you right now? And maybe, how can you become part of someone else's constellation of support?
Something to definitely mull over. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope exploring Michelle Obama's becoming gave you some useful insights and maybe inspired you to think about your own journey. Until next time.